3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Queen Stage. We're here to spotlight the athletes, stories, and action in women's cycling, giving the sport the attention it deserves. And we're going to do so with the quality, depth, and personality the sport demands.
I'm Rosael Torres-Davis.
I'm Betsy Welch. I'm Anne-Marije Rook.
And I'm Molly Hurford.
Hi, Rook. Hi, Molly.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Rook, how are you feeling after Unbound yesterday?
It was a long day. It was a good one, though. I love a muddy Unbound. I feel like we need an epic edition of Unbound every couple of years to remind people what this race really is. And it very much delivered on that front. I
So
think it may have been muddier than 2023.
That's what I heard too on the commentary.
But it felt like it was more like rideably muddy. Like it wasn't just detonation at the start, right? Everyone like got through, but it seemed like the mud just continued the whole time.
Yeah. I think in the 200 race, it took about 30K before they even saw mud. So, yeah, they were able to ride it, and then things would get clogged, and they would see the repercussions of that. If you were riding the Excel, however, you hiked for about 5 hours. So,
Wow.
yeah,
Who
there was
ended
plenty
up
of hiking.
winning the Excel in the women's race? Who ended up winning the
Svenja
Excel?
Betts.
No idea.
It's a
Who is
German
she
rider.
again?
She's won it before.
Amazing. Okay, yeah, because like it took a longer than other years, it seems.
Oh, yeah, she took longer than we did in 2023. So I was like, I had definitely felt for her.
Yeah. So, question for you. I know Sofia Gomez Villafañe won the race, but did SRAM win the race? Did SRAM win Unbound Gravel?
Or did the new Crux win the race? The new Crux got 1, 2, 3, and 5 in the men's and 1, 2 in the women's. So that's the big story, right? That this new bike that specializes has an uncanny ability to drop product at the right time.
Yeah, I guess the question came to mind because Shimano, is presenting the event as a sponsor. And Molly,
Did you
mentioned,
see?
yes, go
Did
ahead.
you see Sophia's post-race interview? She did the very sponsor correct, like NASCAR style, like listing out, thanking the sponsors and like all of the things that came into play. The super lightweight kit that she had, the new Crux, and then she's like, and SRAM, which definitely outperformed Shimano. And then you saw Sarah, who was interviewing her, just be like, we need to cut to something else. And she's like, moving on to another topic.
But also, so impressive. Sophia has the clarity of mind to pull that off after finishing 200 miles in the race.
I can tell you the behind the scenes there.
No, yes, tell
behind the
us,
scenes,
please.
they have 5, maybe more, 8 specialized people waiting for them. They take the bike, they look everything over, they take care of the rider. And as the riders are sitting there, there's the PR person who's telling them this is what you should say and da. So it's an extremely well-run machine. It was highly professional. I was impressed by all of it. And, the first thing that Sophia and G did when they sat down next to each other, coated in mud, was take a selfie and send it to Uncle Mike, which is Mike Sinyard, who is the owner and founder of Specialized. So they are very sponsor correct.
Very dialed.
Which I think really raises the question of like, is this where gravel is now, right? Where you do
100%.
have PR people in the finish area. That's interesting.
It is so highly professional. If you look at all the bikes that came out this week, they're all pure race machines. They're not a versatile bike that the average person, the average rider may use. And so it's interesting you mentioned SRAM and Shimano, not to get too much into the weeds there, but like we know that like on the high end of gravel, Shimano has been a bit lacking, they've been a little slow in forthcoming with the one by and those kind of things. But if you look at the average consumer, like I think Shimano has that market still very much in their pocket with Qs and those kind of drivetrains coming out. So 99% of Unbound is participants who pay to be there. Only 1% is professional riders. So good thing to remember.
Yeah,
Good point.
definitely.
Good point.
And speaking of the state of gravel, and also just the state of women's cycling, let's speak to the state of women's cycling, because the amount of content around manicures, pink bikes, even scrunchies, between Unbound and Giro Italia Donne. It's been I love it. I'm loving all of it. It's heartwarming.
You like all that feminine
I
display?
Well, I've never been one to wear scrunchies and that kind of thing, but it's just fun to see just different things in the peloton that women are feeling comfortable to show whatever, being female and what woman feels like to them.
Before they get absolutely just destroyed and covered in mud.
Exactly.
Yeah, we were saying, Rook, you probably didn't get to see it, but in some of the Unbound coverage yesterday, when Nicole crashed there, the thing you saw in the aid station was her like trying to clean some of the mud off of her like beautiful acrylic nails. It's like,
I did not see that
I
part.
love this. I love this so much. I think that was her like moment of just taking a breath, taking a beat, trying to figure out if she was going to continue. And like as she was doing it, she was just sort of like
Looking at
fixing
the
the
nails.
nails. It was so
I mean, that's
good.
what you see, right? You're on the bars and, like, that's what you look at, and if that gives you
Yeah.
motivation, great.
No, I mean, there's definitely I do my nails when I do them is because it's like eye candy to look at my pretty
Mm.
nails as I'm like working and doing different things. Yes, no, and there's a lot of
I get
great.
it. I have a whole routine.
I
I do
know,
my
I've
I
heard
do
of
my
it.
nails every Sunday, and when my wife and I first started dating, she was so surprised that I had such a like, a feminine side where it'd be like I'd be watching for a while there, I'd be watching car shows while doing my
Mhm.
nails, and she was like, "What is happening right now?"
Yeah, no, it is a ritual, like, trying to also do a nice job and having to stay still and, like, focus on one thing. It's very nice.
Hey, I said to you guys we couldn't record until this time because I had hair dye in, I had eyebrow tint, I had eyelash tint I had everything going. It was a full self-care
Whoa.
situation.
Nice, nice. All right. Well, I'll leave the other questions I had about cyclocrossers saying Unbound killed Cross for another time because I think we really need to jump into what we came here for because, like, we saw Vuelta a España Femenina already came and went. Grand Tour season is here. And the Giro d'Italia Donne, the Giro d'Italia woman started yesterday. So let's get into it. This episode is presented by SRAM, the company behind some of the most innovative drivetrain and component technology in the sport, and a longtime supporter of women's cycling at every level. Over the next 3 episodes, SRAM is helping Queen Stage bring you the full coverage of the 2026 Giro d'Italia Donne from the sprint stages on the flatlands of the Veneto all the way to the finish. This is Queen Stage, where women's cycling lives front and center. I am Rosael, joined today by Anne-Marije Rook and Molly Hurford, with 2 stages of the Giro d'Italia Donne already wrapped up. We've got a lot to get into, and 2 more episodes coming your way in a few days. We'll have a mid-race checking on Wednesday, June 3rd, and a full finale recap on June 7th.
Right. Should we get into just the overview of the course to get us started?
Sure.
We've got 9 stages, 1,153.7 kilometers, and enough vertical gain to sort out the contenders from the pretenders. Starting in Cesenatico, the Adriatic birthplace of Marco Pantani, and finishing in Saluzzo after conquering one of the most feared climbs in all of cycling, the gravel-strewn Col del Finestre, with a summit finished at Siestri to close out the race. In between, riders will face 2 flat stages built for sprinters, 3 medium mountain stages where the punchers and breakaway artists will have their say, 2 full high mountain stages that will blow the GC wide open, and an uphill time trial. So excited about this. That will separate the climbers from everyone else before the mountains even get started.
Awesome.
Any thoughts on that course?
I just hope everyone got the right course book. Remember several years ago where there was that time trial that had this insane climb in it that like even like the men had to walk when it was featured in the men's race before
Well,
because
I
no
do not
one
remember this.
because the race book didn't have the like profile correct, and so everyone's there with their like time trial equipment and they have to basically go straight up a mountain. You remember that? That was that super steep inner city pitch. I don't know if you remember that, but that was
My
wild. So
God. No,
I
I don't
hope
know
that
why I'm completely blanking out on that because I love a time trial.
I'm curious what bikes or what bikes and then what drivetrains people are going to run for this uphill time trial. I haven't actually looked at the profile to see just how steep it is, but I I like an uphill time trial and I don't like an uphill time trial. I like it because I feel like it sort of allows the teams that maybe don't have full amazing time trial bikes to potentially do, and just like the time to practice the time trial and stuff, they actually still have a chance. Flip side, I actually don't like it because it's, to me, not really a true time trial. Like, it doesn't allow the time trialers to actually do their job. So why are we doing it?
For
Yeah.
sure, there's few time trialers that can go uphill as well as they can go, just in pure speed. Like, the only one I can remember in the women's peloton that was that good was Emma Pooley.
Yeah. Before we get into the stages, I was actually thinking, have you two looked at the start list and any thoughts, feelings about the team composition?
You can definitely see who has prioritized their fitness for Tour de France Femme avec Swift and who is taking a different approach.
Yeah. Like, I admit I looked at Visma Lisa bike and I was like, sorry, who all is here? And I kind of almost feel like, are we auditioning riders for the Tour de France Femmes from that, like, for that team? Like, who's going to be there to support? Fingers crossed, Voss and PFP?
We'll see. We'll see.
All right. Should we get into stage one?
Let's go into
Yeah,
stage
go
one.
ahead.
Stage one was a kind of a classic opening stage, went from Cesenatico to Ravenna, 139K. It was very flat, guaranteed to have a sprinter's finish, although it did have 3 very technical circuits at the end. SD Worx and Wiebes had set the objective of claiming the Maglia Rosa from day 1 onward, and they definitely, you could see that from the onset with Lorena Wiebes in the front. There were 2 big pileups causing Kat Ferguson, unfortunately, to have to abandon, and a 3-rider breakaway was, taking up most of the screen time that day. It's pretty clear, though, that the peloton was kind of letting them get some camera time and sit out in the wind for a while because that got swallowed back up before entering the finishing circuits. There was a sprint point in a corner. What? Like, what was that? That was gobbled up, obviously, by the breakaway. And then we got into these finishing circuits, which is really fun for the spectators. But it was pretty, chaotic and technical. There were a lot of turns, a lot of road infrastructure. There was another crash. There was one rider going off course. And it was kind of like a jumble to get everyone's lead out in order. And I think Little Track perhaps got a little too excited, a little too early on. But it didn't all matter because Lorena Wiebes was on a mission today and she won that stage pretty handily until, and here comes the big drama of the stage, afterwards. It was the UCI commentators deemed that her bike had been too light. She was not just stripped from her win, she was disqualified from the race altogether. And therefore, Elisa Balsamo ended up winning the stage, which no rider wants to win in that fashion. But yeah, what drama.
And everybody was being so conservative in their comments in the pre-race interviews. I mean, yeah, and also, how does that happen? Because is it possible? It was 20 grams, which is very, very small.
So the UCI legal limit is 6.78 kilograms, and her bike was 0.02 kilograms or 20 grams under the UCI minimum weight requirement. The question now is, what equipment are they using? Because the average, park tool hanging scale that most of us have, that most team buses, that people tend to own, is only accurate within plus or minus 20 grams. What scales are they using? And so right now there's talk of SD Worx suing the UCI for basically kicking out their star rider out of the tour over 20 grams. So
this feels so childish, right? Like, it seems like a very weird thing to do. Also, side note, I really hate any kind of inspection after the race. I'm a huge proponent of do it before the race.
That was my big question. They normally, they scan the bikes for any sort of motor before the race.
Yeah.
They usually measure the bike before the race. Why was this happening after the race? Did they get tipped off? What is this?
What if something fell off and it's lighter for some reason? You could have 2 bolts fall off. Is that 20 SRAM,
Definitely.
you
If I was
know?
the mechanic, I would be like, oh my God, no, the screw fell off.
Well,
I
like
had the screw. It was there the whole
yesterday
time.
at Unbound, well, the bikes ended up weighing more because of all the mud, but we saw Keegan Swenson struggling to, deal with a mechanical, and he lost something in the grass that belonged to the cassette.
Well,
And
that important spring had to get back on in order for the cassette to work, so he did get it back. Yeah.
okay, good. But yeah, no, I could see situations where your bike can end up weighing less. I don't know, or like what if you tried a new bar tape and it's like super light or something? No
Yeah.
idea.
I think I'm particularly grumpy about this because I've had this happen to me where I did a race where you had to carry an emergency blanket. I didn't have one at the time, so I shoved like a full parka in my bag. And then at the end of they didn't check in the beginning. They didn't mention it in the beginning. And then at the end of the race, after I won, they did a check. And I got like a 20-minute penalty, which, funny enough, the girl in second was 19 minutes behind me. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess it
So
just seems a little petty.
I'm a little grumpy about this one.
And also, like, it could have just been a relegation instead of
It
a
should
I
full.
know,
have.
you don't kick her out of the race. Like, she would've
Yeah.
won today probably. Yeah, like, not to foreshadow too much about what happened today, but, like, and I think a penalty or, a time consequence or something, but,
Yeah.
it's so within the margin of error. Like, if it was several pounds, I'd be like, "Yeah, obviously she was
Yeah.
cheating," you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But also, like, it's a flat stage, 20 grams. Yeah, that's not gonna make a difference.
It's not. Yeah.
Make that mistake with how much coffee I measure into my like espresso thing every morning. Like, not a big deal. Peter would
Yeah.
argue it's
Yeah.
a very big deal and I'm breaking our machine. But
It
Yeah.
is wild that that happened, and yeah, I think it fully warrants an inspection of what happened, how are bikes exactly measured, and what equipment are you using, and then make that public so that teams can have all the same equipment. And
Yeah.
what is
And
the margin
also,
of error on those scales?
and I hope that if they're gonna be weighing her bike like that after a race, that they're doing that for every single race, or just enough that we see that it's not a malicious pattern or like just being ultra selective for unknown reasons. But anyway, it's what happened, and that meant that today on stage 2, Elisa Balsamo started the stage on the Maglia Rosa on the pink jersey. And stage 2 was another flat stage from Roncade to Caorle, 156 kilometers long. And yes, Balsamo, Little Trek, finally broke through, right, Rook? They won the
Finally.
bunch sprint in Caorle. Charlotta Kuhl of Phoenix Premier Tech was the one who opened the sprint first, and Balsamo was able to come around her. Lara Gillespie of UAE Team ADQ was also well placed, but couldn't catch up to Balsamo. But anyway, what happened earlier in the race was that 3 riders got cleared. A lot happened in this stage, but it was just, very calculated, having the breakaway with Eleonora Labella, Elisa Levalier, and Sarah Lucon getting their TV time, with a gap of up to 6 minutes. And then there was one climb on today's stage. As a climb that has also featured many times in the men's Giro d'Italia, the Muro di Ca del Poggio, 1 kilometer long with 11.5% average. And basically, that was the main obstacle. And some people were surprised that, that maybe some teams could have taken advantage of that, or some of the other stuff yesterday to get more time, I guess, in the GC ahead of the time trial on Wednesday. But no, they just left it up to the sprinters to do their thing.
I think they really wanted a sprint because the Giro is just so hilly, so climbing.
Mhm.
If you are targeting a GC, you're going to climb well. You're going to be fine on that uphill TT. So, this is, as we saw, like, this is always the stages that warm people up, that give the sprinters their little time in the limelight. And then the Giro historically always invites a lot of local teams, domestic teams. And so this is their opportunity to get some TV time, to maybe get selected and picked up by another team. And this is exactly how the last 2 stages have played out. Today's breakaway again, Italian riders, getting some time, and it's kind of just how it goes. And it's, yeah, I don't know what that says about how entertaining it is to watch. Would I've liked to seen some action on that climb for sure, but also like everyone's saving themselves because way worse
Yeah,
is
yeah.
coming.
Listen, it's been such a busy weekend that I'm fine with this. Also, isn't it interesting how I don't know what other sports have to go through things like this, where in the middle of the event and the race that's happening, where a result is in your hands, you also have to be advertising your team and getting TV time and this and that. It's just in how the peloton kind of agrees on that arrangement. Molly, were you gonna say something?
I was going to say it was funny watching the Peloton because there were moments where the women were, just smiling and sort of chatting. And it was actually like kind of like fun to see. But also, like, I realized when I was looking at the results, I think it was 120 of them finished at the same time. Like, that's one of the first stages I can remember where you really had almost the entire peloton was still together at the finish, which I think makes for really interesting racing coming up because now the time gaps are still only a few minutes.
I do
Yeah.
prefer it though over than what we saw at the Vuelta. The first 2, 3 stages, crash, 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 really bad injuries. I'd rather have a more calmer
Also, it's a
beginning.
very good change for the Giro, don't it? Because they have been known to usually many times start with a time trial in the beginning, like a team time trial, individual time trial that has a hill in it and ends up putting already giving you the GC results in a way. But speaking of these first two stages and how they were flat, and yesterday's stage in particular was a bit technical, we did hear in the beginning of the feed some riders complaining about the technicality of the race, particularly GC riders and the domestics working for those GC riders. And I guess, I mean, obviously not being there and not riding there, I don't know how good the organization is, how safe it feels for the riders. Also, this race has a reputation of being disorganized in the past. But I don't know, like, are they complaining too much about because it was very exciting, and I saw also Elisa Longoborghini, who won the Giro last year, do very well in those final kilometers and just being a racer who does her job of staying in the front and out of harm and keeping the speed up to arrive safely at the line and deliver a result for some teammates, hopefully. But yeah, any thoughts? Like, did it really seem that dangerous yesterday?
Sprint points in a corner. Like,
Okay, yeah, that's uncalled for. Yeah.
like point number one. That just makes no sense.
Yeah, that I didn't even notice that, so thank you for bringing it up. No, that's ridiculous.
I do think, like, Borghini today did Elisa Longoborghini did a really good job for her team. She was just trying to keep the pace high to make it as safe as possible around those finishing circuits. Like, the whole peloton was strung out, and that is so much safer than when they're
Yeah.
all bunched together. But they did a really good job using, her strength there and her, confidence. Same thing with Lucinda Brons. If you need someone to shepherd you through a technical course, get a cyclocrosser to do it, you know?
Yep, definitely.
Yeah, they were saying it's her 15th Giro. So well done. She's not quite in the 87 club with us and Voss, but I think they said she's 36. So honorary member.
Yeah, but I think it was an FDJ writer, forget who was suggesting that some stages like this should have like a separate finish line for the GC that's like 5 kilometers before the actual finish line. But then wouldn't you still have issues with people sprinting for the GC causing trouble, and then they have to set up the teams have to set up for the sprint?
No, because you see this in the tour all the time, where there's the finish line and there's the line at which all the GC riders are safe.
Yeah, but they get the same time. So
You
like
get the same time, yeah. But you mean like to get like a separate GC for bonus
I think
times
what
or what?
this writer was suggesting was to get the GC order on a separate finish line, which I think just creates just a separate issue,
Too complicated.
right? Too complicated. Yeah.
And this is
Like a
bike racing, you know? Like there are some
That's
dangers
what
in
I
it
mean.
and
This is
yeah.
bike racing. The sprinters and people who are not great at climbing have to suffer through the climbs and set you up and make it as far as they can and make the cutoff, which you also imagine how embarrassing it has to be to miss the time cutoff if you're like a sprinter who's just having a really bad day in the mountains. So it just feels I don't know, feels silly to complain about about the technicality of some of these finishes. Obviously, there is a careful balance there because we know that it happens a lot that there will be very poorly plan finishes, and those points in the corner make no sense.
I don't know. I think
100%.
for the Giro d'Italia, the real action is yet to come. I'm glad, we see a sprinter in the Maglia Rosa because that doesn't happen very often. You, they, especially as the race goes on, we're not going to see the Maglia Rosa on a sprinter. It's going to go to the climbers, and so let them have their time. And this is the only way to give them that and showcase their skill, which is a wonderful side of cycling as well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, speaking of showcasing, maybe this is a good segue into a little segment that I like to do where we just do a little deep dive on either a topic or a rider that usually doesn't get a lot of light shined on them. Let's see. So, SRAM sponsors some of the most exciting teams in the peloton, and one of them is Movistar, which brings us to Arleni Sierra. Arleni Sierra is a Cuban sprinter, and she's one of the most decorated riders in the Americas. And this Giro is her first race back after having a baby and going through maternity leave.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which I learned that today, so it's awesome. I did a little digging, and I just wanted to pull some facts about her. Her full name is Arleni Sierra Canadilla, and she may have a middle name, and I couldn't find it, so it could be longer. Anyway, she was born December 7th, 1992, in Manzanillo, Cuba. She's currently 33 years old, riding for Movistar. She started riding at 11 years old. She's been riding for a long time, and she comes from the track. She raced representing Cuba in 3 Olympics: Rio in 2016, Tokyo 2020, and Paris 2024. And she went to a provision sports boarding school at the age of 12 and didn't get her own bike until she was 17. And I guess she first came to the spotlight when she was 18 years old in 2011. She won the Pan American Games in Guadalajara, Mexico. She was actually the youngest cyclist in the field. To her name, we have 55 UCI wins, and she tends to do really well on cobbled races. In 2025, Sierra took maternity leave from Movistar, and she's back racing in this Giro. And she, as the only Cuban rider in the professional peloton, it has to be very hard to be away from home. Also, like this, going back and forth from Cuba is not easy. Her partner is still back home. Has been open about getting homesick. And to be able to still, with those struggles, have such a consistent and long career in cycling, I don't know. I think I find that really, really admirable. And she just has such a consistent rider. And that's why I wanted to give her a bit of a shout out.
When's the last time we saw her win?
Let's see. Yes. Well, she has 7 national championships from Cuba. The last one was in 2024. And she has won stages at Vuelta Ciclista Andalucía. The last one was in 2024. And she was second place Trofeo Alfredo Binda, but that was back in 2017.
So it's been a minute.
Yeah, no, it's been a minute, but she has a lot of. In 2024, she got like 3 podium spots at the Giro, actually, but no wins.
What team was she on before Movistar?
She was for some time in Astana. She even
Cool.
raced the Amgen Tour of California back in 2018.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, good spotlight.
Okay, speaking of SRAM teams, though, should we mention the Canyon SRAM Zonda Crypto team drama that just happened?
Yeah,
in the
tell me,
last
'cause
couple
I actually
days?
missed it.
Well, so they've dropped the Zonda Crypto from the name, essentially breaking the contract with that crypto company due to some incredibly sketchy stuff coming out about Zonda Crypto. And yeah, they sent out the press release Thursday or Friday. It was just like effective immediately. We are no longer Canyon SRAM Zonda Crypto. I believe they're just going back to Canyon SRAM for now and changing kits and probably not a great situation inside of that. Like, I definitely feel for the team management, the riders, all of that, because this kind of shakeup midway through the season, we already had the drama of like Cassia Nui Adoma potentially shifting teams for next
But wasn't
season.
that related?
Yes. Yeah.
So, I wonder if, what that means. Whether them ending that relationship immediately allows them to get a new sponsorship on board before, bleeding riders as they are.
Mm, yeah. So will be very interesting to see. We also didn't really mention them in stage 1 or 2, but Kira Consani was one of the sprinters kind of right up there today. We're really expecting her to have like going for second there and just didn't quite pan out. And then yesterday she was fourth, ended up in third once Wiebes was out. So Caitlin SRAM, even without Nuriadoma, still has some solid talent going into this race.
Yeah,
Indeed.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and shout out to Maggie Cole Lister of Human Powered Health, who got 7th place today.
Yeah, and I think Lily Williams of Human Powered Health was in the top 10, or she was maybe 11th yesterday, like high up yesterday. So I was actually thinking Human Powered Health feels like they're really having a solid year.
They really are. After the Vuelta breakout performance there of their climber, and I mean, Lily is always kind of there, tough rider. But yeah, good day for North Americans in Italy.
hmm Also, really good day for Fariba Hashimi, the one Afghan woman in the peloton. And just wanted to point out, like, she was in not the main breakaway, but she was in one of the smaller breakaways earlier today and just riding super well. And it's really cool to see her actually being in the race and factoring in. Just really exciting to see what these women can do when they actually are given the opportunity to do it.
Yeah, it's so nice to see this internationalization of the sport, right? We've talked about Cuba, Afghanistan, North America, obviously the Europeans. Like that's great. I mean, even here at Unbound, like I think there was only one American in the top 10 for the men, which is wild. And on the women's side, we had two non-Americans in the top 5. So it's great to see this like just shake up and the opportunities appearing for people beyond Europe.
Yeah. And to go back to something the both of you mentioned at the top of the podcast about Bisma, Lisa Bike bringing their B team. I don't
Which
know,
is
like
very
any.
unkind of me to put it
No,
that
no,
way.
no. It's like, 'cause it does. It's a lot of pressure on Marion Bunel, who I'm assuming is their leader. She has won stages in the Giro before, but it is a lot of pressure.
She had a wonderful performance at the Vuelta. She's kind of been there. They're really training her up to be the lieutenant for PFP, for the Tour de France Femme avec Swift, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like their roster is people with no experience, but yeah, like basically Marion Buñuel is the biggest name in that roster. We have Victoria Kladonova, Femke de Vries, Daniek Hendeveld, Rosita Renaud, Nienke Van Hoven, and Nienke has had some really good results this year. And Margot Vigie, doing my best pronouncing those. Rook, any comments on my pronunciation?
I'm gonna have to see them written out because I'm not
That's
sure what we
okay.
said
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
last one.
But yeah, no, interesting. I just hope that it's like more of a thing where let's see what they can do. Let's let them go wild and have some fun.
Yeah.
Mm,
And
I
we
don't think
also
it's that. I don't think I think it's a very carefully planned training session, and or as Molly mentioned, a little testing of who they're taking to the tour.
little auditions. Lidl Trek, I'm also going to say, is maybe having a couple auditions for the tour. They have Bella Holmgren in there. And also just Lidl Trek is back. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, I think they were saying like the last stage they won this year was like one in the tour down under. Like, they have just not been a factor this season. And it's so nice to see them back. Oh my gosh. Also, we didn't really say Elisa Balsamo when she won today, sobbing at the finish line.
Yeah.
Because, like, how much better do you think she feels now compared to at the start when she was in the pink jersey because we just got relegated? That's such an awkward spot to be in. So then to actually win this stage
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And also, because I don't think she's won a stage here since 2022, maybe. So it's been a minute, and she's Italian, wearing the Maglia Rosa, winning a stage. I mean, it can't get more
Yeah.
beautiful than that.
Yeah, actually, apologies to Balsamo for just brushing over that recap where she won the stage today, because I looked at that sprint like 3 times because she played it really well. Her team did a good job setting it up and not going too early, and then she still had to surf wheels in the end, and she was always so well positioned. So you're just another solid racer doing her thing in the last kilometers. All right, should we go into a preview of stages 3, 4, and 5? Molly, you go.
Okay. So stage 3, we have Bibion to Buha, 156K, so just shy of 100 miles for our American listeners. We've got 2 categorized climbs, a couple uncategorized ones in the final 55K. So that's going to make for some interesting racing. We'll definitely see some different styles, more separations than we saw today for sure. We'll probably see some of the sprinters dropping back. Gosh, in our initial notes, we say a powerful finisher
know.
like Wiebes isn't out of the question. She is, in fact,
Yeah,
deeply out of the
I was
question.
gonna say we're not gonna see Weebus, which is sad,
Womp, womp.
but
We need
you
more
know,
sad trombone noises in
yeah.
this podcast.
So another opportunity for Balsamo then.
Yeah, and also for all the other sprinters, Consoni and everybody else, in the end, it does have a silver lining, but it does suck to know that the best are not there for reasons that they couldn't, take themselves.
God, I can't wait to see what the legal drama of this is going to shake out, too. Cycling has gotten there's so many legal weird things going on.
We should talk to a lawyer before the next episode and see what they think if they have a chance.
The UCI
Yeah.
doesn't actually win them very often. So as we just saw with SRAM and having that battle with the UCI, that went in SRAM's favor. So
I am
Okay.
very interested. But let's be honest, we're all kind of watching for stage 4. Who wants to explain what we have for that
Yeah.
one?
Now I'm excited about stage 4. It's an individual time trial from Belluno to Nevegal, and it's 12.7 kilometers long, so just 13 kilometers. It's uphill on a category 1 climb, the first real GC day, which is kind of cool to see that it's an individual time trial day. But isn't that really different from a DC day that finishes in a hill? It kind of looks similar, right? But it starts relatively flat, then it hits 14% grades in the first 2 kilometers of the climb. It averages at 10.3% for the first 5 kilometers and eases near the top. The time gaps should be large enough to show us who can take the whole Giro d'Italia, and pacing will be everything. And I've heard that riders are still making up their minds about whether they're gonna do it on road bikes or TT bikes.
I
What
was
do
just
you
going to
think?
ask,
Yeah.
which would you two do it on?
Oh, I don't know.
road bike probably.
I think, just because don't have a lot of experience on a TT bike, I would just do a road bike because it's better to do what you know. But I'm not a professional racer.
I mean, arrows everything, so it's hard actually. I say road bike from a handling point of view, but from a what gets you. I mean, at this you're saying time gaps will be large, but I think it's still going to be quite tight between the favorites. So any second matters. In which case, aerodynamics play a huge part.
Yeah, I would like to see Urxa Seagard do well in this time trial. I think it could really suit her. Yeah, she races for UAE Team ADQ, and her boyfriend is a certain rider called Tadej Pogačar. Yeah,
But would they go for her though? Because is she the GC rider?
actually, I said the wrong team. She races for AG Insurance. I mean, who else would they go for? Like, is it Justine Jakira? Can she win the Giro?
I don't know, but she's definitely my pick for stage 5 because we are getting into the Dolomites. So we're going to get some climbing. There's one particular, they climb towards the end, but it ends on a descent. So you need this rare breed of a climber who can also descend really well. So,
Got it.
Kaja Niewiadoma's not there. She would have been a good pick for a course like this. But Justina is an absolute baller on a descent. So I would probably look to her. Although, I mean, you we've had some great surprise riders this season already, and something tells me we're going to see maybe some more surprises this tour.
Yeah, and AG Insurance also has Julie Van de Velde, who does well on the GC.
And really well in descent, if I remember right. You know who I'm sad isn't here and we won't really see for a while is Puck Peters. She's obviously racing mountain bikes to great effect, but it's really, I feel like a descent and that kind of course would really suit her, and I'm really bummed that she's not here for this.
So, Rook, on that name, do we pronounce the E at the end of Peters? Because I've heard commentators say both Peters and Petersa.
It's Puck Petersen.
Puck Petersa. Okay, so we kind of pronounce it. Thank you.
We really should
Yeah.
do a whole episode that is just us trying to perfect the pronunciations. It'll be
Definitely. We'll pull some clips and put them on the gram. But yeah, basically, Rook, you did the preview of stage 5, which goes from Longarone to Santo Stefano di Cadore, and it's 138 k's long. And yeah, it should be fun. I look forward to an uphill TT into the Dolomites.
Yeah, and we'll be back to record another episode after stage 5.
Let's remind people where they can watch this, because it was hard to, like, I wasn't sure if HBO was going to show it. I didn't see it on their schedule for cycling, but they did cover the men's Giro, so I was hoping they would, and they are streaming the same TNT stream on HBO Max, and you can also catch it on Flow Bikes.
yes.
And you can catch us afterwards on YouTube.
Definitely. All right. Well, that is it for today. Thank you for listening. A huge thank you to SRAM for presenting this episode. If you enjoyed this episode, leave us a rating and a review wherever you get your podcasts. And follow us on Instagram at queenstage.cc. We will be back soon with more race analysis and stories from the women's peloton.